What is up, everybody? Welcome back. UFC 297 just around the corner, so you know what time it is. It's the picks time. Got a pretty good card coming up. I think Canadian fans were blessed. I know some people were upset about it, but I think if you're upset about it, you're just not Canadian, because I think for Canadian MMA fans, we've got basically everybody we could possibly want in here, except for, Lupe Godinez, Diana Belbita, right? So, I think we're good. But yeah, it's picks time, so let's get right into it. We're going to start off with my MMA culpa, my accuracy. So far on this channel, I have picked 19 fights. 14 of those picks have been correct, and 5 incorrect, of course, or I guess 4 incorrect, 1 no contest, which gives me an 8 out of 10 accuracy, 77%. Of those correct picks, 72% of them I have predicted to end the right way, i.e., by decision, by knockout, by TKO, by submission, things like that. So of those, 14 correct picks, 10 have been correct, giving me a 7 out of 10 accuracy, 72%. So pretty good. This is not betting advice, but if you were to take it as betting advice, this is what it would be. But it's not. I don't gamble myself. Okay, so let's just start off with some rapid fire. On the undercard, Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Priscilla Cachoeira, Jillian Robertson versus Poliana Viana. This is pretty simple. Jasudavicius is going to overwhelm Cachoeira. She's just, a better fighter in every way. This is not going to be a competitive fight, in my opinion. Probably by decision. Jillian Robertson versus Poliana Viana, I'm going to say also probably decision. But Jillian Robertson wins this one. I think just based off of her experience, she's fought better people, things like that. Okay, moving on. Sidey versus Ramon Taveras, Charles Jourdain versus Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson, by the way, here's a fun stat about him. He is the pound-for-pound goofiest looking fighter on the UFC roster. I don't know what that tattoo is. But yeah, so who's going to win? I got to go with both Canadians again. Sidey already beat Ramon Taveras. It was an early stoppage on the Contender Series. But he was well on his way to beating him. He dropped him once. He dropped him again. That fight was only going one way. I don't think Taveras has improved enough. Obviously he got a good knockout himself in the Contender Series, but I don't think he's improved enough to overcome Serhiy in this way, so he's going to win that one. Charles Jourdain versus Sean Woodson. He will submit him. He's just too good of a grappler. And then I'm sure he'll make some weird joke in the post-fight. And by the way, Sidey is winning by knockout or TKO. Okay, let's just go up the main card now. Obviously, I'm trying to be quick with this video. They've been a bit long. I don't really want to make a half-hour video for you guys. Let's just talk about the main card now that these quick picks are out of the way. Okay, opening up, we've got Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. Good fight. I mean, both of these guys have been referred to at times as the, future of the featherweight division. Both are coming off of not great fights. Allen did well against Max Holloway, but he did lose that fight. It was super close, but he lost. And Evloev went life or death with a debuting short notice Diego Lopez. So I think both of these guys are kind of trying to reclaim their position a little bit. I think both of them maybe would expect a title shot with a win. Considering Ilia Topuria, assuming Ilia Topuria doesn't beat Volk, considering that he is the last real top fiver that Volk hasn't beat, apart from Allen, and Holloway is now going up to lightweight to fight Justin Gaethje for the BMF belt, right? Okay, so what happens here? I think the most noteworthy thing in this fight is the power of Arnold Allen. I mean, this guy hits hard for a 145er. It's not, Josh Emmett types of hitting hard, but he's got some really good finishes. He finished Dan Hooker, which is a hard thing to do. Dustin Poirier couldn't do it. Michael Chandler could, but it takes that type of guy to finish Dan Hooker. I mean, finish him by strikes. Obviously Islam Makhachev beat him, but he beat him by Kimura. Allen has good ground game too. Their stats are largely identical. Allen has a better takedown defense and a better submission average, actually. He's not a submission fighter like Evloev is, or a ground game fighter like Evloev is, but he is opportunistic with them. Evloev is a bit of a decision machine, which it doesn't really play into his favor when you're going into a guy who is kind of renowned for being a fight finisher, right? I think Evloev gets a bit more hype than he deserves. He's very good, but I think he gets a little bit more hype than he deserves because he's from the Caucasus. Like that region produces some really fantastic fighters, like Khabib, like Islam Makhachev, like Khamzat Chimaev, like Ikram Askarov. But yeah, I don't know. He hasn't yet shown the ability, I think, at the UFC level, at the top level, to put it all together in terms of, striking leading to takedowns, leading to submissions, right? Like he can hold on for dear life for sure. He can ride out a decision that way, but I don't know. I think that he's going to over rely on his ground game, and I think that he's going to be very surprised that Arnold Allen is stronger than him and is able to escape him when he, relies on his ground game. Probably by strength, not by technique. And I think Allen's going to TKO him. I think that there's going to be a point in the fight where Evloev tries to wrestle and Allen wins the position and he just starts hitting and he hits Evloev too hard. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say against a guy who's 17-0. Like, obviously, I don't really know how this guy loses in the sense that I've never seen it happen. But I think that Allen is going to either drop him and follow him down, or he's going to take advantage of a mistake by Evloev over relying on his ground game. Either way, I'm taking Allen by TKO. I'm 60% confident in this. If he doesn't win, then it's going to be Evloev by decision. Who do I want to win? Probably Allen, because I'm Canadian. He lives here. He's a nice guy, but Evloev is fine as well. I got nothing against him. He's a pretty entertaining fighter, like technically to watch. Got a ride for my boy Diego Lopez, though. Okay, but let's move on up the card. Chris Curtis versus Marc-Andre Barriault. So, I mean, this is the story of this fight. It's not Curtis, right? It's Barriault. Curtis is a bit of a jump up for him, and this is, interesting. So he's just put 2 wins together after a shaky period, after losing, I think, his first 3 or his first 4 fights in the UFC. So it's a bit of a jump up for him to fight a ranked fighter. But, good for him. Curtis is a bit of a... I wouldn't even describe him as a gatekeeper, right? Because, he beats guys that come up to an extent. Recently, he's lost to, Kelvin Gastelum and Jack Hermanson, who are, pretty good, but not great, right? His only good recent win is Brandon Allen, and even that was 3 years ago, right? I hate saying this about people because I try and be nice, right? But, I just feel like Chris Curtis doesn't really have it. I think that he's destined to be top 15, maybe top 10 if he gets lucky in a fight. But he doesn't really have it. And I don't know. I hate saying that. But, when it comes to this fight, when it comes to everyone that Curtis fights, he's just okay, right? He's perfectly fine for a top 15 middleweight. Obviously, he beat my ass. But I just feel like when it comes to, is this a guy that could string together some wins? I don't think so, right? Is this a guy who could, if he fought Sean Strickland now for the title, beat him? I don't think so. Is this a guy who could beat a streaking up-and-coming contender? I don't think so. Now, Barriault is an up-and-coming contender, but not a streaking one. So that's, I guess, what the question is. So Barriault has better striking stats. Curtis gets hit more than he hits. Barriault hits more than he gets hit. And I feel like that, this fight stays on the feet. These are both strikers. But yeah, I feel like Barriault is a bit more explosive and a bit more creative and stronger and tougher, right? He walks people down. He walks with fire, and he gets hit to do it, but he's got a good record of that happening. So I think, do I think that Barriault is going to be able to put Chris Curtis away? Probably not. Chris Curtis is good. But I think that he will beat him for 3 rounds. I think that we're looking at a 30-27 decision. Pretty confident in this one. 29-28 if Curtis is lucky. I've got Barriault by decision for this one. Okay, moving on to the card. Mike Malott versus Neil Magny. Good fight. Magny is super experienced, right? He's fought everyone at welterweight. He's beat a lot of them. He's lost to some of them. Right? So it's this type of thing where he's fought every streaking contender, right? He's fought Gary. He's fought Shavkat Rakhmonov recently. Bad loss to Gary there. So it's unlikely for him that, Malott brings something new. Malott is a good striker. Is he going to be as good of a striker as Ian Gary? Probably not. He's an excellent submission artist. Is he going to be as good as a submission artist as Shavkat Rakhmonov? Probably not. Now, when he puts those together, maybe it's a different story. But Magny is going to see what he's doing, right? Like, he's not going to be surprised by anything that Malott does, right? But even so, I think like Malott's going to be more energetic. He's going to be stronger. He's certainly going to hit harder than Magny will. And Magny is coming off a pretty bad loss. I mean, both mentally and physically, Gary whooped him. I mean, say what you want about how Gary acted during and then the lead up to that fight, but I'm sure it wasn't great for Magny. You know, if Malott wasn't Canadian, I'd probably be cheering for Magny just to get his lick back, you know. But I actually think, yeah, like, despite this striking stuff that I mentioned, I think that this fight will be decided on the ground, where Malott has way superior wrestling and will blitz Magny early. Like, Magny has decent defensive grappling, but his ground game is not all there defensively, right? So I think that Malott could, quite honestly, get this one done in the first round, maybe the second. So my pick is, I'm pretty confident in Mike Malott by submission. Okay, that's our featured bout. Let's move on to the co-main event, our first title fight of the evening. Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Now, when people talk about this fight, they usually say two things. One, this is boring and Canada's getting screwed over, which is a bad opinion. This is a good fight. And second, that Bueno Silva is going to obliterate Raquel Pennington and easily win and submit her in the first round or the second or whatever, right? Like, everybody seems to be picking Bueno Silva, and I understand why, right? Like, she's more dynamic, she presses more aggressively, she hunts for the finish in a way that Pennington just doesn't. But, I don't know, like, I feel like Pennington is still dangerous and will be able to defend a lot of what Silva will bring, right? Like, she's got good takedown defense, she works fantastically in the clinch, she's such a good clinch striker. And even, you know, people who don't clinch with Silva hit her more than she hits them. She just gets the submission, right? Like, is Holly Holm a better striker than Raquel Pennington? Probably not. And Holly Holm did tag Silva a few times. Or Bueno Silva, sorry. And yeah, Pennington is a laser pointer. She's very, very accurate with her striking. So I'm, pretty confident that, you know, if Bueno Silva wins, she wins by submission. But, you know, the questions in this fight, and if anyone's getting a knockout in this fight, it'll be Pennington. But yeah, the questions for each fighter are pretty simple, right? At some point in the fight, Bueno Silva will get Pennington onto the ground, despite her pretty good takedown defense, despite her clinch work. And how will she survive this moment? That's her question. And the question for Bueno Silva is, she's a high output fighter, she fights early, she fights mostly 3-rounders, and she finishes them pretty quickly. So how will her high output fare past the second or third round if it gets there, right? She's not typically performed well when the fight has gone to judges. She's got losses. She's got draws. You know, and to be fair, those were mostly at flyweight. You know, like she fought Manon Fior at flyweight. There's a last fight at flyweight, who I think is basically the flyweight equivalent of Pennington, honestly. And lost to her. So, you know, obviously I know she's more comfortable at bantamweight, but 5 rounds is a lot more than 3, right? But I also think that, you know, Bueno Silva has a chip on her own shoulder. She's put it there. I don't know why she did this, right? Like, I just watched the press conference before filming this, and it's like, she's just decided that she hates Pennington for, like, not being entertaining enough. And she really, I guess, feels like Pennington is beneath her, right? And so I feel like she's going to do the Hamza Chimaev thing, where she hunts very, very early for a submission, and she's not going to find it, probably. And she's going to tire herself out and demoralize her by thinking, oh, this person's better than I thought she was. And that's going to affect her for the rest of the fight, mentally and physically, right? Because it won't be strategic. So, like, I understand why everyone's picking Bueno Silva. You know, in my head it makes sense. She's better than Pennington everywhere on paper. But I don't know. I just feel the need to pick Pennington. I don't know why. I don't know what's pushing me. Like, I've said, obviously, the reasons that I've come up with. But, like, even before I really thought thought about it. I just thought, I think Pennington's going to win this one. Who I want to win, I don't really care. This is Aldana's division anyways. Get Pena out of the way. She'll fight the winner and lose, and then Aldana will come up and she'll be champion. I've said 50.1% because I know I shouldn't be picking Pennington, but I am anyways. So yeah, Pennington by decision. Okay, moving on to our main event of the evening, the one that everyone's here for. Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis. Everyone's yapping about this one, right? Like, all the polls are like, Sean Strickland's going to win. But I don't actually think this one's going to be close. I don't know, I'm feeling good about this, right? Because everyone's like, oh, Colby versus Leon is a close fight. And I said, this is not close. Leon's going to destroy him, and I was right. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be a close fight at all. Like, if you look at Sean Strickland's worst performances, you will notice something. And I'm going to give three fights for his worst performances. Obviously, Alex Pereira, he got knocked out. Jared Cannonier, close fight, but he lost. And then, you're going to laugh when I say this, but Abus Magomedov, I know he won that fight by a TKO or a knockout in the second round, but in the first round, he was getting pretty well beat up until, Abus gassed after 2 minutes in the octagon, right? But yeah, if you'll notice something in these three performances, everybody who pressures him succeeds. If you put him on the back foot, it's not going to end well for him. And the other people who succeed are the people who hit him really, really hard, right? Cannonier obviously hits very hard. Alex Pereira obviously hits very hard. Abus Magomedov was known as a bit of a knockout artist, right? So, like, Sean's style is to walk you down, defend your jabs to tire you out, hit you with the 1-2, maybe the teep kick to keep you at distance, and that's it, right? Just do that to you until he wins a 5-round decision, because he's never going to gas out. But this super high striking defense only really works against two types of striker, which is like volume punchers, right? And counter strikers, like Izzy, right? In a sense, Sean is the perfect anti-Izzy stylistically, and I don't know why, obviously, neither did I, but nobody realized this, but he is. And I think that his stock is very high because of who he just beat, but I think that was just stylistically an easy matchup for him. Not easy, but stylistically a good matchup for him that we didn't realize at the time. And Izzy just wasn't in the right headspace. I think the Izzy that fought Pereira the second time, or the Izzy that fought Gastelum, would have found a way to beat Strickland in that fight. But that's a different point, right? But yeah, like, this striking defense is good against people who want to throw a lot and build up, and it's good against people who, want to maybe hit you with like on the first and third punch, or they want to hit you, on the second. But if you hit someone hard enough to, like, hurt you badly with every punch, right? Even if 40% of them make it through, that's still way too many, right? And if you've not punished them for throwing it, they're not going to respect you enough. Like, if I hit you with a massive left hook and you hit me with a jab, right? Like, it's probably not going to work out for you in the long run over the course of a 3-round, 5-round fight, right? But then it's also like, people are opportunistically able to get takedowns on him. We saw this with Abus Magomedov. Sean hypes up his own ground game, and his coaches hype up his ground game. It's like, well, you'll never see it because he keeps it on the feet, but his ground game is really good. I don't know. I think it's I think it's probably overrated. I don't think that you can build up a good ground game, honestly, by only wrestling in practice. I think you need to be doing it in fights to understand what it's actually like to do it in the octagon, in front of a crowd, in that fighting environment. Sean's very good at his boxing because that's all he does. But, like, even when he's sparring, he's not doing ground game stuff. We've seen the footage, right? He's not doing ground game stuff. He's only striking. So I think that his ground game is going to be a vulnerability for him against somebody who really, really pushes, like Dricus Du Plessis. I think that Dricus is going to pressure Sean because that's what he does to everybody, right? He just pushes and pushes and pushes. He's either going to put Sean on the back foot, or he's going to meet him in the middle and just start swinging. And, he will take him down if necessary. Right, like if Sean Strickland could be dragged around by Abus Magomedov, who is literally nobody, I trust Dricus to be able to drag him down. Like, will he be able to submit him? I don't know. But will he be able to hit him when he's on the ground? Yeah, 100%. And if they both just swing and go, like, you know, whatever, Ultra Instinct mode, like Max Holloway at the end of a 5-rounder, or what, you know, Aspinall and Pavlovich decided to do, I just trust Dricus more. And even if Dricus does get really tired past round 3, he's still going to be dangerous. He's still going to hit really hard, and he's going to do enough to not get finished after winning the first 3 rounds. Right? I think that if this fight goes to if it was a 3-rounder and it went to a decision, all 3 rounds would go to Dricus. If it's a 5-rounder, it goes to decision, which obviously that's what will happen if Sean wins, because this guy never finishes anybody. Right? His last finish was a bomb from Germany, who the UFC just kind of threw in there. Like, I don't know. I feel like Dricus can win this in any way. I feel like he can submit him, although he won't. I feel like he can TKO him. I feel like he can knock him out cold. I feel like he can win by decision too, right? Like, but I think that really what we're going to see in this fight, which is going to be interesting because we've never seen it before, is Sean on his back, on the ground, getting slapped around. Dricus is going to beat this guy by TKO. I'm super confident in this. I think that just because you beat Israel Adesanya does not mean that you are God's gift to fighting, like Sean somehow believes he is. And I don't think this is actually going to be close. And I'm going to have to eat my words on this, I'm sure. But this is either going to be a war just based off of Sean's durability, if he has it, or not his own qualities and his ability to push back. It's not going to be like Poirier Chandler. It's going to be him just taking a beating and walking forward through it. Or Dricus is going to get him done early. So, pretty confident in that one. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys. Let's hope these are all correct. I picked some underdogs in this. I also picked every Canadian. So, we'll see how it goes. We went 6 for 6 in Vancouver, but let's see how we do this time. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment if you want to. I just do this for fun, so, telling me that to keep doing it would be nice. And I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope you really enjoy watching UFC 297, because I know I will. Alright, next time, guys.